양반 족쇄 풀어줘. 불쌍하게 제대로 먹지도 못하잖아.
그러다 도망가면 어쩌려고. 값이 꽤 나가는 자인데.
생각 좀 해봐. 일주일 내내 아무 짓도 안 했는데 이제 와서 도망치겠어? 그러고 보니 저렇게 온순해 보이는 사람이 무슨 짓을 했길래 제리카니아 여왕의 분노를 샀을까? 알아?
여왕이 한 손가락 하니까 그렇지 여왕이 아니라 숫자 만이야.
여왕 얘긴 그쯤 하자고. 카드 돌리는 동안 이야기나 하나 더 들려주시오.
뭐 그럽시다. 여왕 얘기가 나왔으니 말인데
This artist.
Salt of the earth, they are, Your Grace. They'd follow you into fire. You need simply say the word.
I shall teach you to respect the crown, you dogs!
Look out! Seek cover! We are bombarded!
Armor wars, sir. Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am. Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
War and countdown!
This harvest will be reaping black-clad heads.
Humans good do. Shoop help.
The Lyrians smashed the Nilfgaardian force.
Just so, Sir Troll.
Clad
Do you know to whom you speak?
greeting you.
There, Reynard. I believe I can manage this. Say shoot.
No. Keg's good for
It means...
one thing.
Yes. If you play your cards right, you might just convince them.
Cards. Cards. For human.
The troll turned on his heel and ran out of his cave, his destination known only to himself.
Company! Forward march! March!
To the ground with you, pestilent filth!
God's blast it! My breastplate.
We must thank the gods for this victory both great and just.
Not liking the looks of this.
Gascon said, furrowing his brow. Niamh followed his gaze. Before them, beside the road, stood a hut with a... Niamh drew her sword, convinced a horde of neckers or ghouls would soon attack. Further examination showed the dog was the hut's only resident.
A watchful sentry like this could prove useful in our camp.
Said the Queen.
Fine, he can join. But he shall need a name.
How about Reynard?
Proposed Gascon. A cheeky grin smeared across his face.
That way he'll come when you call, sit on command, and always be a heel. Always heel, that is.
Watch your words,
said Reynard, hand tightly gripping the hilt of his sword.
or you'll learn I'm not at all as tame as you believe.
Enough, both of you. That's an order. As for you...
The Queen took a good look at the dog, who still had a scrap of fabric in his teeth.
Since it seems you've a taste for the cloth of the nether regions, I dub you... Knickers. Will that do?
The dog wagged its tail vigorously, as if thoroughly pleased with its new name. Niamh's company marched off, a furry new recruit richer.
God's blast it! My breastplate, chiefs.
Who's this?
Easy as pie.
The vermin menaced, but be wary. Each blow it answers still with wrath and fury.
The unworthy shall be punished. Mixes. The unworthy shall be punished. Watch your heads! Catch! Your Majesty, no!
I've lost my tooth. Foot of a whore.
Wise choice.
Order!
Exzellent, Seifel!
Elherzer!
Yes!
That was not in the spell books.
Life is mine now!
Off to the front yet again.
Fall back! Below it!
Meve was victorious on the banks of the Yaruga, but paid dearly for it. She lost a host of men and suffered harm herself. Yet she'd have been doomed, if not for a certain white-haired witcher. Meve longed to meet her mysterious savior and set off in search of him as soon as the battle dust had settled. She found him with the field surgeon and learned he was none other than the Witcher Geralt. Yes, incredible as it may seem, I've heard the tale from several and can vouch for its truth. At any rate, making note of the fact that Geralt's ears were ringing from a blow with a mace, Meve began immediately to interrogate him.
Uther, famed Woodbridge?
Asked Meve, prodding him insistently. For a spell, Geralt worried his hearing was shot, but then realized the Queen had a lisp.
Worked out that way, I guess.
You guess?
Meve gagged on the blood in her mouth.
Someone hold me!
The Queen felt Geralt merited the highest honor, a knighthood. Another monarch might have delayed until a more opportune time, but not Meve. Meve delayed nothing.
Count Odo, you, sir, do the honors. Alas, I cannot because of my tooth.
For valor shown in battle, I, Meve, by the gods' grace, Queen of Lyria and Rivia, hereby do knight thee.
Geralt of place unknown. The bridge you felled with men from Rivia. Or so you guess. I guess it falls to me to dub thee Geralt of Rivia.
Meve arrived at the walls of Gradobor, famed for fine rugs and woven tapestries. The city's artisans had been at work. So vast was the banner, Gascon whistled in admiration.
Gotta admit, the Blackclads certainly have panache.
And a vast and powerful army, I'd remind you.
Reynard interjected.
Arbalest.
No cost is too high,
Said Meve, a hardness in her voice.
Reynard, Gascon, ready our men to attack.
The Lyrian...
It will be difficult, your grace. The walls are strong.
Order!
Catch!
Gate! Someone's opening the gate! Forward, march!
Life is mine now!
My prescription, a bit of bloodletting.
Victory, your grace! The city is ours!
The battle for Gradobor was a hard fight, though not quite as hard as most had thought it might be. During the assault, at its critical juncture, a blow fell from the blue. The unlikely heroes, merchants and burghers brought together by the city's guilds. A wave of them, all riled, swarmed the black-clads at the gates and opened them wide to let Lyria in.
Onward! Follow me!
As fighting died down around the city, Meve rode for the town hall on a personal quest. Nilfgaard's vast, garish banner rippled overhead. With its halyard cut, it plunged like a great black bird, stricken. It was the last any would see of the golden sun over Gradobor.
3 cheers! Hip, hip, hooray!
The Lyrians were victorious, though not without aid. Meve met with the merchants who had roused the townsfolk, inspired them to rise up and fight.
Many of my soldiers, dozens, perhaps hundreds, owe you their lives today.
Said the Queen.
For that I am deeply grateful. No, deeply indebted. Should you know a way I might repay the debt, don't for a moment hesitate to ask.
The merchants exchanged glances, nodded, grunted, agreed with each other without uttering a word. Then one, a clothfuller, his moustache most robust, stepped forth, bowed low, and spoke for them all.
Your Majesty, the invaders brought laws. Laws what don't agree with customs we've long held. Non-humans they forced us to accept. Let them join our guilds, sit on the city council. It's right ridiculous it is. These treacherous dwarves, why, they've been on their side from the start, so it's no wonder. But, well, the Nilfgaardian reforms, we'd like you to revoke them. Non-humans must know their place.
An awkward silence ensued. All turned their eyes to the Queen, awaiting her response.
I agree. Non-humans must know their place,
began the Queen.
So listen closely, all. Whether elf, dwarf, gnome, or human, it matters not. My subjects are equal.
Your Grace, you said it thysen. Were it not for us...
My troops would have died, true. Yet among the dead, there'd have been dwarves of Mahakam, I've no doubt. Dwarves who agreed to fight by my side when none believed I could prevail.
The tradesman huffed, the tradesman puffed. Meve silenced them with a firm swipe of her hand. She left Gradobor that very day, furious at the city's merchants for their bigotry, and irked at an unpleasant truth, that even the vile Nilfgaardians occasionally got something right. Come nightfall, the Lyrians pitched camp. Meve sat down and stared into the fire. Her officers, advisors, kept their distance, unsure if her eyes burned with the fire's reflection or a fury deep inside. Only Gabor dared approach her.
You ken, not long back, I asked myself, Gabor, you bampot, you gone bar me? Left my home, clan, family, and for why? To follow a human queen. But the day you showed me, I made the right choice.
Gabor stood and went back to the mess tent. Had he lingered a bit longer, he'd have seen Meve smile.
Off to the front yet again.
That was not in the spell books. Now, how did that incantation go?
Egreto dum anime est, spes est.
Where is he? Tell me where!
Nilfgaard had the upper hand, yet the black-clad spirits had suffered. They now made more use of shields than of swords. When Meve finally broke through their line, they raised their arms in surrender. Rivia Castle had fallen. Alas, the general had disappeared. A prisoner revealed Epdahi had fled as soon as the Lyrians had Meve cursed her luck and leaned back against a merlin. Dawn was yet a few hours off, but the horizon had already begun. That night, the war turned, with the battle for Rivia Castle as its fulcrum. Meve's great victory. The armies of the north had united and now seemed to be on the attack everywhere. Imperial forces, while still far more numerous, lay stretched over thousands of miles. Their position was untenable, and Nilfgaard's commanders knew this. In a decisive battle, they yet stood a chance, so they gave said battle, and suffered a resounding defeat. Just a few months on from that memorable night in Rivia, the Imperial army was in utter disarray. Aldersburg, the fortress, remained a last point of resistance. General Epdahi and what had survived of Army Group East had dug in there. This place, where Nilfgaard had triumphed grandly in the war's early days, would now bear witness to its impending defeat. It seems history, after all, has a sense of justice, or humor, or both. Though Meve had already reclaimed her realm, she refused to retire her sword just yet. For King Demavend had requested her aid in purging Edirn of the invader. How could she refuse? She owed the king a favor, firstly. Yet she also had a burning desire to settle the score with Epdahi.
Demavend's predicted.
I shall see to it.
Are you sure?
An understatement if I ever heard one.
Niamh set out after the Nilfgaardians immediately, a cavalry escort in tow. Her unmatched scouts, who had led the army through...
The common tongue.
I do, Your Majesty.
You also know who you deal with, I see.
Kaldvin, Your Majesty.
At last. A Nilfgaardian name I can pronounce. So, Kaldwin. It seems this...
It would, my lady.
Precisely. Now tell me.
A letter.
Urgent to the point of insanity, it must...
No, Your Majesty.
My. A letter from Emir himself. You must be...
A simple messenger.
Don't lie. I know messengers, how they travel. Alone, armorless, atop of...
For I often carry orders the recipient...
Give me the letter.
I've sworn to deliver it.
Oh, very well.
And if I refuse?
Guess.
So be it.
Meave's translator cracked the sea...
Truly. Kaldwin, consider...
And that is?
That when you hand him the letter...
As Kaldwin and escort set off towards Aldersburg, General Epdahi had prefaced Lyria's and Rivia's invasion with a series of arrogant demands. The Nilfgaardian had been impudent, as he had felt sure he'd achieve a quick and decisive victory. Yet several months on, he too received an ultimatum. One signed by Emperor Emir var Emreis himself. The missive was concise and left no room for interpretation. With General Epdahi dead, the Nilfgaardian army descended into chaos. The kings of the north, united, took advantage and struck at the foe. Their victory was complete. The Nordling forces cheered their commanders and monarchs, but for none so vehemently as the one queen among them. Many dream of achieving the impossible. Meav had done it. Through wit, determination, and boldness, she had thwarted the Nilfgaardian invasion. The queen would rule for many more years. Stern, yet ever just.
Ah! So a lass saved the North from the Blackclads?
That is one way to put it.
Well, I'll be damned. And a chap. She find herself one in the end?
Leave it be. Bloke's been spinning the tale all night. Story's done. Time we got some shut-eye.
Yes. Particularly as we've yet a long road before us.
Phew. Throat must be parched as old leather after all that. Except, I'm itching to know what happened to the lot of them. Reynard, Gascon.
Very well. Whom shall we start with? Willem? He worked hard to regain his mother's trust and respect, took on many daring missions regardless of the risks. The lad who Nilfgaard had wielded as a tool now sowed terror along its borders, and appeared a successor most worthy of Meav. Gascon was buried with honors of the most refined yet mournful sort. His peer lords themselves bore the casket. Soldiers in parade dress beat the funeral drums, and a new stone figure appeared beside the Brossard family vault, the very pointer from their crest, a ducal crown upon its head. Though Nilfgaard owed its defeat chiefly to Meav, in the Empire her name was uttered with utmost respect. Returning soldiers spoke in awed tones of her courage and generosity, referring to her as Gvedin, the tenacious one. With the advent of peace, tensions waned. Lyria's and Rivia's disparate races seemed to live harmoniously, side by side. The Queen pressed for new laws aimed at curbing oppression. They were a step towards more enlightened rule, yet sadly were habitually broken. And Meav? As I said, she ruled with an iron hand, not fist. Reynard ever at her side, tempering, supportive. No longer a general and trusted advisor, he had to the Queen become something more. Much, much more. And now, if you'd allow me...
Course. Leave him be, lads. Let him get some rest. Till the time comes for the next tale.